When Kieran Culkin stood on the Oscars stage holding his very first Academy Award, the crowd thought the biggest surprise of the night was his emotional speech. He joked, he teased, and he even put his wife Jazz Charton on the spot in front of millions of people. But what no one in that glamorous room knew, not even the fans replaying his words on social media the next day, was that Jazz had already been keeping a secret so personal, so unexpected, that when she finally revealed it months later, fans couldn't stop laughing. And it all started with one Instagram comment that flipped the entire Oscar night story upside down. Kieran Culkin's Oscar win for A Real Pain was already a history-making moment for the actor. Known for his sharp, unforgettable role in Succession, many fans felt he had long been overlooked. But when his name was finally called for Best Supporting Actor at the 2025 Academy Awards, what should have been a standard thank you speech turned into something much more personal. As he clutched the golden statue, Kieran looked out at the audience and locked eyes with his wife. With a grin that instantly lit up the room, he said, "Jazz promised me 4 kids if I ever won an Oscar." The crowd erupted in laughter. Viewers at home were stunned. It wasn't the typical Hollywood list of agents and producers. This was a husband calling out his wife, Liv, on the biggest stage in the world. Kieran didn't stop there. He held out his hand, recreating the moment Jazz had made the deal, and delivered the punchline with perfect timing. "I haven't brought it up once. Until just now. So, Jazz, my love, no pressure. I'm really sorry I did this again. But let's get cracking on those kids," the audience roared. The cameras cut to Jazz smiling and clapping, clearly caught off guard but laughing along with everyone else. It was playful, it was intimate, and instantly it became one of the most talked about speeches of the night. But here's the twist. While the world thought Kieran was teasing his wife into another child, Jazz was already 2 months pregnant. Nobody knew it yet, and she wasn't about to reveal it on national television. Instead, she quietly kept her secret. Until months later, when an Instagram comment would blow the whole story wide open. Months after that unforgettable Oscar night, fans were still joking about Kieran's speech, but Jazz Charton finally decided to let everyone in on the real punchline. It happened casually, almost offhand, in the comment section of one of her Instagram posts. A fan wrote, "Waiting for people to realize you were already pregnant when he gave that Oscars speech El Mau." And Jazz, never one to hold back her humor, fired right back, "I was 2 months and so sick. He's an ass." The comments spread quickly. Suddenly, the Oscars joke had a whole new layer. Fans realized that while Kieran was on stage making promises about the future, Jazz was already quietly growing their 3rd child. What made it even funnier was the timing. Kieran had been playfully pressuring her in public, not knowing that Jazz had already been dealing with morning sickness while smiling through the awards season. To her followers, it was the perfect mix of honesty and comedy, and it showed exactly why so many people love Jazz online. She doesn't just play the supportive Hollywood spouse. She adds her own dry, self-aware humor that makes her relatable in a way most celebrity partners aren't. And this wasn't just a one-time moment. In fact, Kieran had a track record of sneaking baby talk into his acceptance speeches, which meant the Oscars joke wasn't new. It was part of an ongoing pattern. Long before the Oscars, Kieran Culkin had already made his family the center of his awards show moments. Back in January 2024, when he took home the Emmy Award for his role in Succession, his speech was heartfelt. But of course, with a twist only Kieran could pull off. He stood on stage, visibly emotional, and thanked his wife Jazz for sharing your life with me and for giving me 2 amazing kids. It was the kind of line that could have wrapped up the speech beautifully. But Kieran wasn't done. He looked right at her, smiled, and said, "And Jazz, I want more. You said maybe if I win." The crowd laughed, and Jazz was caught on camera clapping and laughing from her seat, shaking her head at his boldness. It was charming, cheeky, and it instantly turned into one of the most replayed moments from that night's ceremony. So when the Oscars rolled around just a year later, audiences already knew that this was something of a running gag for Kieran. He wasn't just celebrating career milestones, he was using them as playful bargaining chips in front of millions of viewers. But the difference this time was that the joke had already turned into reality, and only Jazz knew the secret. Away from the red carpets and televised speeches, Kieran Culkin and Jazz Charton have built a family life that fans find surprisingly down to earth. The couple already share 2 children together, their daughter Kinsey, now 6, and their son Wilder, who's 4. For a pair constantly under the spotlight, They've managed to strike a balance between keeping their kids' lives private and still letting fans see the humor and chaos that comes with parenthood. Jazz, in particular, has become known for her witty Instagram posts. Instead of polished, staged family portraits, she often shares moments filled with honesty and a healthy dose of sarcasm. When Kieran's Oscar speech went viral, she didn't gush about his win in the way some spouses might. Instead, she poked fun at the whole thing, writing, "An Oscar? Okay, hear me out. Making empty baby packs may seem foolish, but it's clearly been a great motivator." She went on to tease that maybe, just maybe, all his success came from her playful promises. It's this kind of humor that fans adore. Jazz doesn't just play the role of the supportive wife. She adds her own comedic twist to Kieran's public persona, almost like they're running a long-term inside joke together. And with every award show speech, it feels like they're letting the world peek into that private humor, one playful jab at a time. But as much as fans loved their back and forth, nobody expected Jazz to drop an even bigger reveal while attending a Broadway show in New York. On September 28th, 2025, Jazz Charton stepped out for the opening night of Waiting for Godot on Broadway. While most eyes were on the star-studded cast and the presence of legends like Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, Jazz managed to steal the spotlight in her own way. That night, she revealed she was 9 months pregnant with her third child. She shared the news the way only she could, through a mix of humor and honesty on Instagram. Posting photos from the evening, Jazz wrote, "Saw Keanu Reeves on Broadway and now I'm 9 months pregnant. This is very on brand for me. I made a deal with this baby to let me make it to this before labor. Not sure what it wants in return, but I'm clearly a woman of my word." It was classic Jazz, downplaying a huge life update with wit and self-awareness. And she didn't stop there. In her caption, she gushed about how unforgettable the show was, describing how she couldn't come down from the high of seeing Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter break into air guitar on stage. Such a fresh and inspired take on this play. "Cannot put into words how special it is. Part pregnancy brain fog, part awe. Go see it if you have the chance," she wrote. What struck fans the most wasn't just the pregnancy reveal, it was the timing. Jazz had managed to keep her third pregnancy almost entirely under wraps until she was just days away from giving birth. And by combining it with a Broadway night out, she added her signature mix of style and surprise. Naturally, fans rushed to connect the dots. If she was 9 months pregnant in late September, that meant she had indeed been 2 months along during Kieran's Oscar speech, and suddenly, all those jokes from the stage took on a whole new meaning. The moment Jazz confirmed her pregnancy timeline, fans online went wild. Her casual Instagram comment, admitting she was already 2 months along during the Oscars, instantly reframed Kieran's big night. What had seemed like a playful deal on stage was, in reality, a private joke Jazz had already been living with. Followers flooded her posts with laughter and shock. Some fans joked that Jazz deserved her own award for managing morning sickness while smiling through red carpets. Others teased that she had outsmarted Kieran, letting him make promises in public while she quietly held the upper hand. Comments like, "She played the long game and won," and "You're the real MVP." Jazz started stacking up. Even fan pages and entertainment outlets picked up the story, calling it one of the funniest behind-the-scenes twists of Oscar season. The idea that Culkin thought he was negotiating for future kids, while Jazz was already carrying their third, became the kind of detail fans couldn't stop sharing. It was funny. It was human, and it gave people yet another reason to adore the couple's playful dynamic. But beyond the jokes and the headlines, what stood out most was the way Jazz and Kieran kept their relationship grounded. For all the glamour of Hollywood, they weren't afraid to let the world see them tease each other, laugh at themselves, and share real-life chaos. And that mix of honesty and humor is exactly what makes their story so relatable. Still, there's one final layer to this saga that ties it all together, a reminder that this wasn't just about an Oscar or even a pregnancy reveal. It was about how the two of them turned a life-changing moment into something uniquely their own. At the end of the day, Kieran Culkin's Oscar win wasn't just about recognition from Hollywood. It became part of a bigger story, one about love, family, and the hilarious, sometimes unpredictable deals that couples make behind closed doors. While millions of people saw a playful husband teasing his wife from the stage, Jazz was already in on the joke. Carrying the very child Kieran thought he was negotiating for. What makes their story stand out isn't just the awards or the headlines. It's the way they let humor and honesty guide their relationship. showing the world that even at the highest points of success, it's the personal moments, the laughter, the teasing, the secret truths that matter the most. For fans, it's refreshing. In a Hollywood world full of polished images and carefully scripted appearances, Kieran and Jazz remind people that family life is messy, funny, and sometimes more dramatic than any role on screen. And maybe that's why this Oscar moment has stuck with so many. Because beyond the gold statue, beyond the career milestone, there was a husband, a wife, and a secret that turned one night of triumph into a memory their family will never forget. Thanks for watching! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss our next video. See you soon!